some functions in our code depend on the images path and the main path and the reflected underscore images folder. And without these variables, they will not work. And we cannot use them like this. We need to include them in our class. And you can do that in the constructor. So here in the constructor, you can say self and then dot and then image path and then equals to this. So you can copy this and kind of attach it to the class. And I'm going to do the same with these two parameters. So here I'm going to say self and then dot and then main underscore path and then equals to this. And finally this one, I'm going to copy it and remove it, and let me remove also all of these. We no longer need these outside of the class. And here I'm going to say self and then dot and then reflected images. And whenever you want to create a folder, just add it here along with these variables. Now if you save and let's run this function, let me run this function, the reflect image, because the reflect image here, let me show you that. The reflect image, this function depends on the, here it depends on the images path. Therefore, we need to include the images path as I have just shown you, and we need, of course, to use the self.images path in order to get that images path. And here as well, self dot main underscore path, and here self dot reflected underscore image folder. So I know that this is going to kind of take some time, but I'm going to be providing this file to you if you don't want to modify all of this code, because it requires a lot of modification. Here we need to add the self to all of these, self dot main path, and here self dot generate, and here self, because now we are working inside a class and we can't just use and call these variables without, or properties without using the self keyword. Here as well self, and here self, here self, and we have here a couple of variables. We need to attach the self keyword to them. Here self, and here as well self, and here self, and we have these two as well, and we are done. Let me now save and run our script and see what's going to happen. So now it should work successfully because we have attached the self to all of these functions. And let me save and run our script. Now if you run your script, it should work. So as you can see, our code was executed successfully and it worked, and now we have here a reflected image. So it worked, and don't worry about this class, about this code. I'm going to be providing this code to you. But again, you need to understand that whenever you have a class, you need to use the self in order to call or get the properties or call the functions from inside that class. So the only problem that we have with this code is just some kind of modification, because we are using now a object-oriented programming in Python instead of just simple functions. But by the way, if you don't want to create a class at all, you can simply use the functions as they are without using a class. But using a class is better in terms of scalability, because if you have a big project, having all of these functions inside a class would be much better, and it would pay off on the long term. But again, it depends upon what you want to do. If you want just a simple script, you can use these functions just alone without a class. But if you want to create a big project, and if you want to include this code inside another project, then it's better to use this code. It's better to use this class and include it in your other projects.